What's good, peoples?
Hey,
Big Set back at it. The industry cosign. Got a special guest today. I'm pretty sure some of you know who he is. And I'm not really good on introductions. So I typically let people introduce themselves because I'll end up messing it up. So I want to introduce the guest for today, Mr. Chip Fu,
peace,
and I'll
peace.
let you take it from here.
Chip Fool from the Fu-Schnickens. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Um, so I know that we spoke a couple years ago. I featured you on Black Enterprise,
Right.
and my main purpose for doing that is because I know you was doing your thing as far as education and just things outside of hip hop. And I
Hmm.
know that a lot of people, when they either don't see people for a while or just in general, are always wondering, or it's a misconception that if they're not on stage, they're not doing well or whatever.
Right.
If you don't, especially if you're not a superstar.
Right.
But when I think we've been friends on Facebook for years, and then when I started seeing that you were doing this, I'm
Hmm.
like, this is the type of things that I want people to see
Right.
specifically on Black enterprise, because Black enterprise has always been about Black entrepreneurship and things of that nature. So why don't we start with that? The purpose, actually, the name of the program, the
Hmm.
purpose on why you started it, and anything else that you like anybody to know um, correlated to that program.
Okay. The name of the program is MATH. It's an acronym for Music Appreciation, Art, Time, and Healing. I started it because I was traveling overseas, doing shows in Belgium and Paris, and one of the promoters asked me to come down to a center to talk to the kids. So I said, instead of me just coming there to talk, why don't we just do a workshop? Like we just talk about what's going on in their neighborhoods and then actually do a song together where, whoever's interested could just jump in the booth with me and we just do a song and, what I'm saying, they can say, use that for their resume or whatever.
Yeah,
It went off incredible. It started with 10 kids. And before I left, there was like 50 kids in there. And it seemed like they needed somewhere to go because
yeah,
whatever was going on in those streets in Belgium and Paris is basically the same. So I said to myself, if I could do it in Belgium and Paris, why don't I try to do it in New York City? Came back to New York City. I hooked up with housing and I started the program in Wyckoff houses. And it was supposed to only be for 15 kids. I had 60 kids because all of the housing projects that surrounds Wyckoff, Gowanus, and everything else, people wanted to send their kids there because they needed a safe haven for these kids during the day because there was a lot of gang activity going on. So
yeah,
once I started it, it took off, and I said to myself, if I could, if I have their minds and I'm able to, talk to them about changing their approach and the way they think by just coming down to the rec center, what if I was able to do that in classrooms? So I, took it upon myself to go to a suspension site. When I got there, they was like, well, listen, you're not a teacher, you're an MC. There's nothing that, we believe that you can do to help us. I said, give me the worst class that you got. Now, one thing that MCs are experienced in is reading the room. So as
yeah,
soon as I stepped in the classroom, I knew exactly what I was up against. I got a microphone, put it in the center of the floor, and I said, whoever got bars, just come up. But when the kids came up, they weren't even really rhyming. They were actually just talking about what they were going through at home. And it shocked the teachers because you had some kids talking about, yo, y'all don't even know that I'm homeless. And the breakfast that you guys give out here is the only food that I eat during the day. And you guys are wondering why I'm upset. I'm upset because, by the time I get there, since I don't have any money to get on the bus, when I get there, you guys throw the breakfast out and I have nothing to eat for the whole entire day. So you guys are wondering why I'm acting out of character. That's the reason why. So fast forward, all these schools started bringing me in because I was able to, touch the hearts of, the participants, and it took off. I got a lot of flack for it because, they were just like, well, he's not a registered teacher or whatever. And they were trying to find out, well, do you have any college credits? I'm like, yeah, I have degree in physical therapy sciences, etc. I'm not a fool. So now after that, I was able to get my credentials for the DOE, and that's what I'm doing now. The biggest problem I'm faced with now is, there's a bunch of people that I think is very clicky right now. You know what I mean? So If I go to the schools, and the funny part about it is the schools would call me. When I get there, you'd have like 60 kids talking about, yeah, that's the program we said we wanted. The person at specific schools would say, well, we got to get two different workshops, and then get a workshop when it comes a workshop that has to do with drawing or something else, and the kids are like, nah, I want the music appreciation, art time, and healing. So then I'm sitting there going, oh, okay, well, let me do my studying. This is what I've been doing for the years. I'll be in school and I'm studying everything, and I'm learning that some of the schools take on their family members, right? So if a family member has a workshop, they'll bring that family member in, and that family member being there teaching them knitting and crocheting. When these kids is like, nah, that's not what I want. You know what I mean?
That's not it.
That's not it. That's not going to help me. That's not going to help me deal with what's going on in the streets or what's going on at home. So now I stood back for a little bit, strengthened my team, and we back at it, and it's incredible now. We're working with the New York Giants, with a school in Far Rockaway called the Far Rockaway Giants, and a school in Harlem called the Harlem Giants. And what we do is I have a tutoring class that goes on Mondays and Tuesdays in Far Rockaway and Harlem, just helping these kids with their homework and making sure that we bring their grades up. And then every Friday, we basically go to the studio and put together songs talking about the subjects that we've studied. So once these kids repeat these songs, they could actually get good grades when they take exams. So that's what I've been doing.
That's good, man. And all because and through hip hop, which
Mm-hmm.
is one of the things that I definitely make sure that since we've both been in the game for a couple of years,
Yeah.
we know that the perception and the description of hip hop has never been pleasant over
Right.
the years.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that when I'm looking at what people are doing to make sure that whatever they're doing is a positive aspect of hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
because we definitely need it. And despite who's involved, I think it's a good thing when someone like you creates a program like this, so that way more kids can definitely be saved from the streets,
Yes.
as well as given a recognition that hip hop has done this and hip hop does this. So that way, that misconception can be chipped at and taken away. So I
Right.
definitely applaud you for what you're doing.
Thank you,
And as
sir.
I told you before, anything I can do to help, I'm definitely going to make sure that I can. Now, what are some of the difficulties that you do have when presenting this program or when speaking to people about it because of the cloud that's over hip hop
Well, I mean, the
these
only
days?
thing I think it's they have a preconceived notion of the type of person that's going to come in and have a conversation with them first and
Yeah.
foremost. Um, they're expecting me to walk in there and be like, "Know what I'm saying?" You know what I mean, and slang everything out. But of course, I'm from East Flatbush, Brooklyn, and I understand that that's what it is. But I don't have to be that every day. So when I
Yeah.
walk in there and I'm talking to them about certain points and building stronger curriculums for these kids, and having me work with their social studies teacher or their math teacher to create songs to help them pass these exams, is when they take me seriously. And then, well, why, how are you able to tell me this? And I'm like, well, listen, I have a degree in physical therapy sciences. The only way I was able to study bones and study muscles, the origin and insertions, because there's so many bones and so many origins and insertions in the body when it comes to muscle tissue, was for me to write a song. And when I wrote the song about this, I was able to remember everything. So when I went in to sit exams, I was just sitting there bopping and just reciting the song in my head about everything that I learned, that I wrote. And um, grades were incredible. And everybody was like, "Well, I don't even know how this kid is passing." And I'm sitting there laughing like, y'all don't know what I really do, but
Yeah.
I'm here to get a, what I'm saying, I'm here to get a degree. But and after I did that, I was able to say to myself, if I ever go to teach, this is what I'm going to teach in school. For these kids, whatever song it is that you like. I walked in the class and the young lady was like, "Well, I like that song by Rihanna, Work, Work, Work." I said, "All right, well, we can write a song about you working hard in school and what's problems that's going on at home and everything else." So we used the same beat, put it in the studio. She memorized the song. She went and sat that exam. She was supposed to, if she didn't pass that exam that Friday, she wasn't graduating the Monday. She walked down the aisle. And I was there to see that and just smile and be like, yo, and y'all thought I was the problem. You know what I'm saying? I came in here, and I was able to raise attendance and graduation. You get what I'm saying? So after that, people started opening up a little bit more, but at the same time, you got, you feel me? It's the thing, like, he's doing so great and so well in school, and we've gone to school and got master degrees, and he's a hip hop artist, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, but I'm not an idiot. You know what I'm saying? I understand how to read the room, and I'm
Yeah.
understanding that if there's a problem, the old way of teaching is not the way. If it hasn't been working, the old way of teaching, you have to find new and improved ways to approach these kids. Now, when I was in school, they had to find new ways to approach me because I was like, yeah, I ain't trying to hear it
Yeah,
until
exactly.
music class. And I'm sitting in music class going, okay, yo, this is dope. So that was the only class I went to, and it helped me in my subjects because that was my way to remember. I started writing songs in every class to remember all my subjects, and that's how I, got my high school diploma and was able to graduate college.
I find it interesting, and I wish I had known this. I mean, I was a good student, but to actually write a song
Mm-hmm.
to remember is such a that I've never thought of anything like that because you keep it in your head
Of
because
course,
we can all recite every
every
song that we like.
exactly,
That's definitely I
exactly,
never would have thought of that, and I think that that's ingenious. And
exactly.
congratulations on that process because
Thank you.
as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wow, maybe I would have gotten better grades if I, not to say I have bad grades, but I would
Right,
have gotten better grades in
right.
the subjects that I was kind of like, and
Mm-hmm.
by doing that. So that's definitely a great concept.
Yes.
How do the kids, okay, of course, being that the Fu-Schnickens
Mm-hmm.
came out years ago, and of course, the students that you do deal with
Mm-hmm.
weren't born yet.
Mm-hmm.
How do, I mean, of course, their parents would probably know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
How are you received when they do find out that not only were you a recording artist, but you have videos, you went on the road, you
Mm-hmm.
actually know some of the rappers that they may know about because of what their parents have spoken about. How do the kids react to you when they find out?
When they find out, they ask me, "Is it true? Do you really know Shaq?" I'm like, "Yeah." Tribe Called Quest, Latifah, these people. I'm like, yes, I know all of them. I think it's the parents that trip out the most because they'll be like, your teacher's name is what? They say, my teacher's name is Mr. Chip. All right. And then you have some parents that are walking and be like, yo, you look mad for me. I'm like, word. We probably went to school together. And they're like, nah, you bugging right now. Chip Fool. I'm like, yeah, how you doing? And then they're like, yo, right then and there, they'll call that kid over and be like, yo, I don't want to hear no mess in the class. I
Yeah,
don't want you messing up in this man's classroom. Do you know who this man is? And they're like, no. And they're like, well, I'm gonna show you what's up when we get home. Then when the kid comes back, totally different thing. It's like, so yo, you really could spit. And I'm like, yeah, I still could spit. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good balance, and especially when you have the kids that the posing kids that be like, nah, he's a teacher, he ain't really got it like that. You know what I'm saying? And then again, they're like, yo, well, all right, give me a hot 16 or whatever. And I'm like, yo, go ahead. I'll give you, you spit your dopest 5 verses, and I'm just gonna spit one. After that, I earn the respect from the kids, and then we work together. There's no more posturing or nothing else, and
yeah,
it's a good thing because now the parents really want to help because it's somebody that they know or never met before that's in the classroom with their kids, and they're just like, well, Dad, he's sitting in here with my son teaching him how to read, and this is crazy. You know what I mean? So I am I think that's I'm blessed to be in that position, and I look at that as a form of worship too, also. So
yeah.
I'm all for it.
That's good because I know for a fact that even though hip hop wasn't as prevalent when we were coming up as it is today, I
Mm-hmm.
know I would have been just as excited that any type of MC. I literally grew up in the Bronx, and I know you probably don't notice, but I went to school with Slick Rick and Dana Dane and
Wow,
MC Search.
never knew.
So, like I said, so when I was going to school, I mean, there may have been Grandmaster Flash and the Sugar Hill Gang, but
Mm-hmm.
that was really it for that time frame. So I know that even then, that would have been amazing because they still were on record. So I
Right.
know that these kids have to be on some old wow, and especially the Shaq connection, because
Right.
regardless of whatever you do, you're always going to be connected with Shaq, even if you don't want to be, because of the
Yes.
correlation. And that was what Shaq's first big hit,
Mhm.
with y'all.
Yeah.
So, that's always a good thing. So I know you can utilize that to your advantage.
Mhm.
But I'm going to veer off. And speaking of Shaq, I know he literally just dropped a single with I forgot the name of the group, but I covered it for Black Enterprise, and now I know that he's gearing up to possibly release again.
Mhm.
How do you feel about the fact that so many years later, Shaq is still Shaq, but him getting back in the studio and doing his thing? What's your thoughts on that?
Before he does anything, sometimes he hits me up
Okay,
and he lets me know, yo, what you think about this? And he'll send me records. I'll send him records, and we'll go over everything. So if you notice, Shaq is real sharp right now.
yeah,
Right? It's not the old Shaq when you
yeah,
listen to Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Shaq is a different Shaq lyrically now because he has time to spend
formulate, yeah,
on his craft and be like, nah, this is corny and whatever. But if you listen to Shaq now, it's a different Shaq. So when you hear him on certain records, he's taking everybody's heads off and they're looking at him like, well, hold up, this dude. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, because now the formula that he had, he upped his game now. Now it's like, yo, let me write a little bit more. Not, he has time to write now. I know what I want to say. This person thinks I don't got bars. I got bars now. And he has a song on. We have a song on my album called Dangerous.
okay,
It's wicked. You know what I mean? I think again, the type of person that I am is more so about pushing the envelope. So what we did is we did over that Shine and Barrington Levy song, uh,
okay, yeah,
Bad Boy. You know what I'm saying? We did over that record, and that'll be actually be the first time you hear a basketball player, I want to say, jump on a reggae beat and do his thing. So that's another form of how could I say it? History,
yeah.
where we jump on a record. It was a hip hop record. Now we jumping on a rhythm and we ripping it down for people to be like, yo, I really got to give it to Shaq on something. You know what I'm saying? And I really got to give it to Chip. You know, to help orchestrate something like that. And then some of the records he got on his album is pretty dope. Some of the records is pretty dope. I can't even front. I'm like, yeah, go. You know what I'm saying? He's in go mode right now. So I'm proud of him.
Well, I'm glad to hear that y'all still are in touch, because I know that like I said, I've been in the industry for a couple of years, and sometimes just doing so many other different things, you not necessarily lose touch, but you're on different paths where it's like you don't speak as much. So I'm glad to hear. And,
Mm-hmm.
and being that you yourself, you never put the mic down. So what are you doing with the microphone these days?
Brand new album called Royal Blood. I just been tinkering in the studio and like I'll throw up, a snippet now and then on my Instagram page, but
I've
the
heard I've heard a few snippets. So
and the views and the comments have been ridiculous. So I'm just like, okay, so you know what I'm saying, I got it in the bag. So right now we're just mixing and mastering, and we're preparing to drop a few singles, then go into the album, like seriously go into the album. So all I'm doing now is preparing visuals, and nowadays you got to make sure everything else aligns with what you're doing, because I don't want to step out there and not have certain things done so it doesn't connect to sales and all this other stuff. You get me? So right now we're putting all those things together and reaching out to certain people that we want to help work the project, because it's gonna be different, man. It's gonna be different.
any surprises we should look out for? Well,
Uh,
if it's a surprise, if it's a surprise, like then it's not gonna be a surprise if you reveal it.
nah, I
But
won't reveal it, but there's a few surprises. You know what I'm saying? And then right after this album, there'll be the next album is already prepared called Invisible Footsteps.
okay,
So you have Royal Blood that's gonna come out a few months after that. You know what I'm saying? Invisible Foot. We just gonna keep going, keep going. I finally got into a space and hooked up with the right company that's gonna do what I need them to do. Finally, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And I was just looking for that right company that'll be able to help me put out records. So people will actually get them, and I'll be on the proper playlist and the proper platforms where people to be able to receive the music and hear it. You know what I mean? Because all I need is for people to hear it properly. I didn't want to just put it out there and people are like, well, I never heard or I never knew he had something. I want
Yeah.
them to hear it and be like, yo, that is crazy. You know what I mean?
Well, while we're on the subject of music, as you and well, I'll explain. Okay, because this is the 50th anniversary of hip hop,
All right.
I've given my views in the past about how because corporations
Uh-huh.
are not going to care after December. They don't care now, but
Mhm.
after December 31st,
Mhm.
hip hop 50th anniversary is no longer.
Mhm.
And for people like you and I,
Mhm.
we're going to continue because we've been doing this basically all our lives. And I
Mhm.
want to point out to the audience that if you see below, it said the Industry Cosign presents Beyond 50. The
Mhm.
reason for that is because we're going to be doing this beyond 50 years.
Mhm.
In 25 years, you might still see me interviewing Chip Fu again,
Mhm.
just on some old hip hop shit.
Right.
But I want to get your views on hip hop 50 and just hip hop in general.
Hip hop in general saves so many lives. Um, there's so many different stories about hip hop, where it started, where it began, who did what, or whatever. I don't even want to get into that, but just knowing that the culture was born out of black and brown uh, suffering, gang wars, and all this other stuff, and to have this culture just take over the world is a beautiful thing. That's one. What I don't like about this whole hip hop 50 thing, it's become corporate, super corporate. Corporations are running rampant with it. Oh, and certain MCs that they never paid attention to, they now want to give them a check to do certain things. Here's my thing, right? Us as the ambassadors for hip hop that went to the clubs, that performed in certain clubs that no longer exist right now, to help put them building blocks in the wall of hip hop, we should be the gatekeepers because we understand the culture. Not these people that have money that believe they should be the gatekeepers because they have money to pour into the culture. That makes no sense to me, right? Then again, you have, because of what's going on with these corporations, everybody's starting to click up now, right?
Of course.
You have like 9 clicks, right? You got like 9 clicks. I'm one of them people that I ain't afraid to talk because I don't fear nothing.
Yeah.
You got like 9 clicks, right? You got like 9 clicks. So when you go to these hip hop 50 shows, you see the same performances, right?
That's
I'm
true.
not taking nothing away from anybody, right? Please eat your food. Please continue, promoters. Please continue. Any promoters out there listening, please continue to promote and to book these same acts if you can. Continue to do it. I'm not saying anything about booking them. I'm just saying it needs to make more sense, right? You
Yes.
can't book the same act every Saturday, right, in a different place when there's 30 other groups that you can book, right? I'm not saying that I'm mad because the Fu-Schnickens didn't get any bookings, because we got bookings. No problem.
Yeah.
We're getting bookings. People are reaching out to us and we're good. You know what I mean? But when I sit back and I think about it, the way how I was raised, I'm raised to look at what's going on with the next man.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, when I'm sitting there saying to myself, yo, I'm about to do a show. How come he ain't on the show? And then I go to the promoter and they're like, well, no, no, no. Well, I was told to book you. And in my mind, I'm like, you were told to book me because you understand we could bring a certain demographic. I get that. But why don't you just mix us all up? And
Yeah.
the same thing would happen. So you have all these other groups suffering. And some of the groups that suffering are the groups that should be on the bill, right? They should be on the bill. So when it gets clicky and you see, I ain't calling no names. You see this group out there, and I'm standing there going, all right. So I could tell you, since I see that group on the lineup, I know that these 5 other groups are on it. See, there you go. And it's the same thing with the other shows. So that's the thing that pissed me off. And I'm not speaking about it because because of the Fu-Schnickens, because we were fine. We were doing shows. I'm
Yeah.
talking about all the other guys that never got to do any shows, right? For instance, we had 5 by 5. Marlon Rice did something with the city where we had these 5 block parties in every borough, right? What he did is he told me about it and was like, how much would it cost for the Fu-Schnickens? And I was like, that's cool, but let's talk. We've never celebrated the native tongues. Can we please celebrate the native tongues? He looked at me and was like, yo, that's the perfect idea. Ran back. So they had a native tongue segment for each borough. And you brought out like no one saw the Bush Babies in years.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
No one saw the Bush Babies in years. So when you heard the lineup of the Bush Babies, Jungle Brothers, Black Sheep, Fu-Schnickens, and Brand Nubian and everybody else, the block parties were packed. We
Yeah.
had over 7,000 people on that street in Brooklyn, right? So you have people standing up there going, wait a second. And I'm like, you're not understanding what's going on. What's going on is you have all these people out here because these are groups they didn't see, right? These are groups they didn't see way before the 50th anniversary. They didn't see these groups. You would see Drez. I ain't gonna front. You seeing Drez all over the place,
Yeah.
but you ain't seeing the Bush Babies. You ain't seeing the Fu-Schnickens like that. So that's why you got between 5,000 and 7,000 people on one block, and the cops are like, "Yo, this is crazy. There's no problems." No, there's no problems because people are out here looking at this like, "Yo, this is incredible."
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's bothering me about this. Now, Hip Hop 50 is supposed to be from August 11th, 2023 to August 11th, 2024. In my mind, I'm saying, let's see what happens going into the new year if people are going to be seriously still interested, one, and the type of shows that they're going to put on, right?
Yeah.
I said to myself, what's my boy Tracy Lee? I didn't see him on one show. Why? Right? Ed OG. I didn't see him on one show. Why? Right? So in my mind, I'm like, yo, I hope, and if there's promoters listening, I hope they do the right thing and be like, yo, let me book these acts right here. You know, they should be giving out awards to Red Alert and Native Tongues and everybody else because they started a movement of positivity, and a lot of people spun off from that, but they're not talking about that. They're allowing the corporations to talk. You know, they're allowing the corporations to talk. Well, we want to give an award to Cool Herc. Okay, give him an award. We want to listen. We have like 6 of them for him. All right, you have 6 awards for him that's saying the same thing. Okay, no problem. What about Red Alert? How many awards is he getting? Well, we didn't think. Okay, well, you guys are not thinking. That's the problem. You guys are not thinking.
Exactly.
You're not thinking, and again, it's clicky. So all the people that's not down with your click, you're not trying to hit them. But I'm the person that'll walk in the room and speak up and be like, yo, that's corny right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why you don't book these other acts or whatever? Well, Chip, I thought we were booking you. As a matter of fact, you don't gotta book me. Book them for these 2 shows. Let people see them, and from there, things will pick up
See
for
what
them,
happens. Yeah.
and I'm good. You get me? People will be covered. But that was my only thing with Hip Hop 50 and how things are moving, and I hope things will be different moving further.
I hope so too, but yeah. Yeah,
All right, let me ask you a question. Do you feel the same way? Am I saying something that everybody else is not thinking? Because I believe there's a lot of people that's thinking the same way.
Yep, you're 9,000% right. And it's funny because I literally spoke to Tracy Lee 2 days ago.
See?
Now, I know you didn't notice, and a lot of people don't, but I actually produced, yes, I was a producer once. I actually produced Many Faces on Tracy Lee's first album, the title track.
I didn't know that.
Nobody knows that. And it usually comes up in conversations like this. So,
That's
because I'm
dope.
still in touch with, a lot of people because, I just stay in touch. But you're absolutely right when it comes to that because, like, even when you mentioned Bush Babies, I was like, how could I forget Bush Babies?
Exactly.
And it's like my whole beef has always been like, you're not from the culture, so you're not going to understand the culture. I understand you want to put money into the culture, but speak to the people that's purveyors of the culture as opposed to like looking at Billboard charts and yeah, that's cool, but there are people that influence the people that the people that you're acknowledging would acknowledge these people.
Quickly.
That's what the Hip Hop 50th is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the acts and people that we know that the general public may not know.
Thank
and
you.
It's not their fault that you can't know everyone. And depending on your entry into hip hop, you're not expected to. But if we're going to celebrate hip hop, let's celebrate hip hop. It's not hip hop's 50th anniversary for being commercial. No, it's
Thank you.
not hip hop's anniversary for being on Billboard. So it's like if you're going to group everything under hip hop, then group everyone under hip hop. And that's the reason why there's a lot of disgruntled people who have a right to be disgruntled.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not being heard because you're not listening. You
Right.
know, so it's like I said, I'm hoping that even by beyond 50, maybe
Yeah.
that'll start a movement. Because I've spoken to other people when I had this conversation where the people that are actually involved in hip hop
Mm-hmm.
as a culture and not as a job, not as a career, and you can have it as a job and career. I'm not saying not. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying that we're so embedded where, like, all I know is hip hop. I'm an R&B person. I grew up on R&B, but I also
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the Bronx. I grew up literally in walking distance from Bronx River.
There you go.
So it's like, and like I said, I went to school with MC Search, Dana Dane, Slick Rick. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, my first girlfriend, her sister was girlfriend of Dougie Fresh. So my involvement in hip hop has always been like
Mm-hmm.
with Crazy Legs because in the Bronx and things of that nature. But I know I'm veering off course. But at the same time, if we're part of hip hop, we need to be part of hip hop. You need to speak to people like us to bring in the right people. So that way, if you're going to acknowledge the 50th anniversary of hip hop, you
Mm-hmm.
can't just acknowledge the people who've only been involved for the past 5 years.
I agree.
Because if it wasn't for the people 50 years ago, there wouldn't have been no 5 years ago.
I
And that's
totally
what they
agree.
failed to realize.
I
So
totally agree.
I'm off my high horse, but
No, it's all right. It's all right. I'm with you.
but let me see. While we're on music, how has well, I guess it's kind of an easy question, but I was about to say, how has hip hop helped you in your life? But it's kind of like, and the reason why I asked that question is, of course, you're still involved in hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Your program is because of hip hop, and you're
Mm-hmm.
still performing. You're about to release an album. But in general, because I always tell people that, um, in order to be involved in hip hop, doesn't mean that you have to be a dancer, a lyricist, or whatever, and you
Mm-hmm.
can still be involved in hip hop.
Right.
I've never grabbed the mic. I've never danced on the stage,
Right.
but I've been involved in hip hop, and hip hop has helped me, even as a writer, because I never, I never thought about being a writer. But
Right.
here I am, like 20. My site turns 20 in March,
Look at that.
March 2024,
Look at that.
and that's because of hip hop. But
Congrats, man.
like I said, how has hip hop helped you in general with your career in hip hop and outside of your career in the music of hip hop?
Okay. Hip hop has helped me find my voice. Um, I was a crazy introvert growing up. Um, didn't really want to speak to much people, but it got to a point where my parents thought something was wrong. Like, yo, something must be wrong with our little boy. Like, he don't want to talk to nobody. But the thing about it was, I wasn't really into sports. I couldn't play football. I didn't know how to do none of that stuff. The one thing I knew how to do though was breakdance. One thing I knew how to do was pop. So you have people coming from all over to battle me, and I'm roasting them. My parents didn't get that concept until another parent told them, like, yo, your son is nice. He's roasting everybody out here or whatever. Then from there to actually, you know, pick up a mic, I'm like, all right, well, if I'm born with respiratory problems, it's gonna be hard for me to rhyme. What my father did was he put me in karate school. When I went in karate school, it taught me a different way of breathing and breathing patterns to stay calm. So that whole when I developed my style or whatever, it was weird to my parents because they're like, well, he has problems breathing. How's he able to hold his breath and dig into tracks? You know what I'm saying? So hip hop saved my life that way. Another way that hip hop has saved me is um, people my age. When I walk into certain buildings, they'll open the door quicker because they understand, all right, I see myself in this young man, and this young man has been doing it for a long time. And I know when I open the door for him, he's about to walk in here and do something positive. That's the one thing I can say about hip hop. Because, when you go into these schools, even to this college I'm going to, York College, they asked me to curate a cipher in York College, October 26th. So what I did, I was like, yo, listen, I'm not going to invite my friends. I want the community to come out. You know what I'm saying? I want whoever has bars, just come. I'll be standing there with a DJ with some big speakers, and we're gonna get busy. You know what I mean? So just understanding that people understand that side of me. Like, you know who we need to get in touch with? We need to get in touch with Chip. He's the type of person that he's not afraid to deal with community or deal with that level of things. You have some MCs that's like, yeah, that ain't me. You need to, you know what I'm saying? I can't do that. But I think that if it's a God-given talent and gift, you know what I'm saying, and we supposed to be the conduit for the voice, then I think that it shouldn't be a problem for us to, you know, to do community work, etc. You know, at all. So that's how hip hop has helped me.
And that's good. Like I said, I'm glad to see, people that I still deal with that has been involved in hip hop for more than 10, 15, 20, 30 years,
Yes, sir.
still involved and still doing their thing and still helping the community.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely important because at one point in time, they were saying that hip hop was destroying the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got some acts or some things that may, but at the same time, it was there before hip hop.
Yeah,
Without hip hop, it would have been there. But they
you're
just try
right.
to use that. They just try to use that as an excuse to try to destroy hip hop. But hip hop is too strong for that, and there's too many positives that come out of hip hop than
Mm-hmm.
negatives. And I think that like with what you're doing and the things like special ed, like I mean, there's so many people I can name that I know that are doing things that I don't hear the mainstream media. Like, if you're celebrating Hip Hop 50, then you need to be exposing what these artists are doing now. Like, yeah, in their heyday, they were doing this, they were doing that. Great, but what are they doing now? Now, they might still be performing, and that's great, but what are they doing when they're not off stage? That's what I want to help put out there. And I'm hoping that, other people follow my lead, whoever
Mm-hmm.
may happen to see it, because our story is not being told.
Right.
But if Chip Fu goes out there and kills somebody, it'll be on every news station
One
top,
time.
top of the hour. But
Mm-hmm.
if Chip Fu saves 400 kids' lives by the program that he has,
Mm-hmm.
not a mention.
Not
And,
one
and,
mention.
and
You're
it's
gonna be
like,
like, oh, that's what he's doing. Okay, that's his job, I guess. You know, no one's gonna say
yeah.
anything, bro. Not at
Like
all.
I said, I want to do my part, at least for my platform, and hopefully with Black Enterprise, because I'm a little bit restricted with Black Enterprise, but Big Black Enterprise is still a platform where people can definitely, it can reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
And as I stated, like, hopefully, with your program and what you're doing can grow to a point where like everybody's approaching you to find out what your magic is, why
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it, and to spread the word as well, and to create other chip fools in their neighborhood that
Yeah,
want to help the community and the kids in the community. And if we can do that, then like I said, it'll be great, not for the community, not just for the community, but for hip hop as well, because hip hop has been destroying lives all these years, but yet we're celebrating 50 years, from the same media that's been saying that. But let me
exactly.
let me get off my high horse. Is
That's
there,
all right.
is there anything else that you're working on, or that you like to talk about that comes to mind, or that you want to do in the near or distant future? Excuse me.
I would like to start doing documentaries. In all
Okay.
honesty, I love documentaries. Um, like again, like you're saying, and I'm saying the same thing. Like our stories need to be told, and
Yeah.
if the right person is not behind the camera and the right person doesn't know the stories, then you can't have somebody else come and say, well, this is what I thought the story was about. You
Yeah.
need somebody that's been around, that knows it, that knows somebody that knows somebody that actually knows it, so we could tell the truth about these stories. So that's one thing that I'm seriously thinking of getting into, is doing like these huge documentaries on music and certain artists that people really don't talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would really like to see a documentary on Grand Poobah. There was
Wow.
there's so many things that because you got to start from masters of ceremonies
Yeah.
to now. So I don't think a lot of people even know that. You know what
Mm-mm.
I'm saying? So you talk to Pooba about certain things, the 5% Nation, rocking with Dan Barron, and what's the story from that point to leading up to Brand Nubia?
And Nubian.
We
Yeah.
don't know, right? Then after that, him doing whatever with Brand Nubian and then jumping on songs with Mary J. Blige, becoming the person that he has become. Remember, we get the word skins from him.
Exactly.
We've borrowed so much lingo from this man.
Yep.
No one talks about that.
And nobody knew about Jabos until he mentioned it.
Him, right? Tommy Hilfiger and Jabos, right? Him, we knew about it because we were wearing it, but people started singing it because
Yeah.
he was wearing it. And then you got to think about it. How old was he when he was rocking with with that other group? So if you're looking at it, and we're understanding that it's a mental sport to come all the way up right now. When we did the hip hop 50 thing at what is that Radio City with DJ Cassidy, I was blessed to be able to sit in the room with them. Like there was two big rooms, so we had one room special ed and all them is in there. And in our room we had EPMD and Brand Nubian and everything. So Grand Pooba is talking and he was like, "Yo, my favorite MC is Kumo D." I couldn't hear it. You understand what I'm saying? Because I'm thinking Kumo D. I don't hear that. But then when he started talking about it, he was talking about certain parts of what Kumo D was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just showed me. I was like, "Yo, it's incredible because he's an MC. Grand Poobah is an MC that I looked up to. A lot of people don't know that. And then to be able to have that conversation, I was like, yo, I could ask him anything right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just asking questions and he's answering me. And I'm like, yo, this is something that other people need to hear. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think that those are the type of documentaries we need to start putting out there where you don't really know the story. Like I would like to know EPMD's story. Just this story. How'd y'all meet? You know what I'm saying? You're rocking fisherman hats. How'd y'all meet? The styles mesh so well together. It's crazy. Like, what's the story? We know that they're from Long Island, and that's that K Solo. We could throw different parts in there, but what's their story? I don't know their story. You know what I'm saying? I don't know their story.
And it's funny because I said this years ago. Like, Pooh-Bah was probably the first person to actually be in one group, go to another group, and to become soloist. Like he started a trend that like not many people were able to follow and actually be successful in.
Thank you.
But it's funny because he did it, Master of the Ceremony, Brand Nubian, then Grand Pooh-Bah. And it's funny because nobody did that back then. You were in a group, and I mean, except for like maybe Kumo D from Treacherous 3 or certain people left that group to become soloists, but he left a group to go to another group. And like I said, like you said, that story alone, and as you stated, there's so many different stories that need to be heard that people would be like, wow, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
It would definitely be amazing.
What is Slick Rick's story?
Yeah.
We don't know. We just know that he's from England. He's here. He's of West Indian lineage.
Yeah.
And that's all we know. And he wears the eye patch and he's a great storyteller, incredible. But what's really his story? I don't know Slick Rick's story.
That's true.
We don't really know his story. Like, I would like to know his story, bro. So I could sit down and be like, wow.
Wow, yeah.
That's why he did that? Okay, we don't know these stories. And that's where my head is at, like when it comes to doing those type of documentaries where I'm able to sit down and just ask these questions, you know what I'm saying, to different heads and just get it documented where, it's documented for us.
Yeah, definitely. For us, by us.
Exactly.
So, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. I definitely appreciate you coming through and wanting to talk. And as I stated, any and everything you do, like I said, you can just reach out, and if I can do something, I definitely will. And I'm happy that, like I said, when I initially reached out to you several years ago for the Black Enterprise piece, we were able to stay in touch. And like I said, who knows what's coming up. And like I said, once I decided to start this podcast and then we was back in touch, like I'm glad that we're talking now. And
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate
we'll see what comes up in the future. And like I said, I appreciate your time and the effort that you're doing in your own community.
Thank you.
And I hope that it expands in any and every way that you wanted to, so that way more kids can be, for lack of a better word, saved.
Yes.
The good thing is that, even though there are still pockets of negativity out there, At
Hmm.
least it's not as big as pockets as when we were coming up.
Yeah.
And let's hope that going forward, the pockets can get smaller so that way
Yeah.
more people can actually benefit from whatever it is that they have in their community and mentors.
Okay.
Also, I just remembered, let the people know how they can get in. How did I do that? How to get in touch with you. I just put the Instagram account.
Chip Fu on Instagram. You can get in touch with me at Math Workshops on Instagram. You can get in touch with me at Worries Official on Instagram and Facebook. Chip Fu on Facebook, Chip Fu on Twitter. You can get in touch with me, and we could just take it from there.
Yeah, I tell people the same thing. Just look for Big Set online, and you'll find me. Although I found out that there's some artists in other cities that actually use Big Said,
Really?
and I'm like, wow, I'm like, okay, but
See, that's crazy because I only know one Big Set. That's it.
there's only one Big Said.
Right.
There's
I
other
only
people
know one
using
Big
the
Set.
name, but there's only one Big Said.
Exactly.
But once again, thanks. Like I said, Chip Fu, the Fu-Schnickens. Good luck with any and everything. Definitely the project. Royal Blood.
Yes, sir.
Look out for that. And then what's the second one?
Invisible Footsteps.
Invisible Footsteps. So I look forward to hearing you and Shaq, reuniting
Yeah,
again
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's gonna
on
be
the
crazy,
record.
man. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait for
So
people to hear that.
once again, everyone, this is Big Said, industry cosign. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, peace.
All right, bro. We'll talk soon.
Definitely.